Hey, Echo Computer class. Welcome back from spring break. Welcome to online classes. It's going to be a fun one. Um, I want to talk about a little bit here. This document's not finished, but I wanted to get our week 10 on our way. We've survived spring break, and you guys have worked on your assignments tonight. All the programming looked pretty good with the gas can and the gas gauge and or the hams. I know you guys are still kind of, what shall we say, you're refining your code, you're getting it more accurate, you're finding some glitches. Well, I found a lot of glitches in my code too. And when you start developing something, as you develop, you get further and further into new ideas and new concepts. And so what happens is you end up with basically something like this. This is from the Berkeley Institute for Data Science, the life of a software engineer. He walks in and says, clean slate, solid foundations. This time I will build things right. And you walk in, and you're like, I have a plan this time. I'm going to do it right. And then much later, which this is kind of where we're at with our project, we say, oh my, I've done it again, haven't I? And you've got all these weird structures are tied together by rickety ladders, and you're like going, that's kind of cool, but it's still kind of a mess. Well, I want to talk a little bit today about code refactoring because I think really we started out with a small bowl of spaghetti with CheckObjects. I mean, we knew that when we were writing CheckObjects to begin with, that these if statements with the placing of sensors around the objects and being able to tell when we're touching an object and how to react to it once we find out that we're touching it, I think we have found out that these if statements with the directions and these or statements of placing the individual sensors around the object is quite tedious. And then to introduce a new object type, like today we added the gas can, and we said that was object 4. Check if we one, and right here by the time I got to the gas can, I was only saying, no, I'm only going to approach the gas can from direction 6. And so I'm like going, why am I only going to approach the gas can, from the left? Well, because I don't want to write the other 7 statements. And I'm like going, okay, that right there told me we were in trouble. And so this is something that every software developer writes about. This is every little corner that we end up in, and that is we kind of like end up with this big pot of spaghetti, and the bigger the spaghetti gets and the more we cut and paste code, the uglier our life becomes. And so what we want to do is we want to take CheckObjects and we want to make it better. So what we're going to do is we're going to write a function called touchObject that says, what are we touching an object? And we're going to pass it a direction and an object that we're looking for, and we're going to ask it to return us a Boolean. So what I did is, last week we had class 108. What I've done is I've created a brand new project, because this is really the most important part of refactoring, is that when you start refactoring, not only are we going to move all these if statements into this new function, which I've defined here in the document, and your homework is going to have to complete touchObject by 3:29, which is next Sunday. I believe that's next Sunday. Yeah, that is next Sunday. So really no new code, no new commands this week, but a whole new concept of like going, well, I don't want to rip everything out and redo everything. This is a natural progression of software development. We want to do something with our code here in this area here that will add simplicity to our program and help us reach a new level. So we're going to write this thing called we're going to write this thing called touchObjects. It's going to return a Boolean. Why is it going to return a Boolean? So we can say if we're going this direction, are we touching this object in X and Y as a global variable? We could pass in X and Y and make it completely autonomous and let it work on the array, but I don't want to pass in the array, so I'm just going to pass in the direction. And so let's go, first of all, I made a complete copy of my project. I made a brand new copy. I made sure all my bitmaps and all my WAV files and all my CSV files were in there. And most of all, I made sure it compiled and ran so that when we test it, we can actually sit there and go, okay, it actually does work. And so we know we're starting with a good example, and we're going to write this touchObject, and we're going to make sure it works for a really simple case and see if it works for the gas can. And I'm going to get the gas can running out of gas, but then we're going to then begin what's called the refactoring. And when we do the refactoring, that's going to cause us to begin to change all of our code. So let me show you what this looks like. So we're going to have this new function here. And we define it just like this. I'm going to take this right out of here. It's called bool touchObject int dir. I'm going to add it right in here. I'm going to say it's a Boolean, not a Boolean cube. So there's touchObject. Then I'm going to come down here and I'm going to say, it's really simple. I'm going to come down to the very bottom. And actually, that's get can, put can. So yeah, we'll just show touchObject down here in the very bottom. touchObject. Going to get rid of the semicolon, slap some curly brackets on it like this, and say return true. We're not calling it yet, but it's there. We're going to pass in an integer called dir. So I'm going to call it tdir, so I know it's internal to that. And I'm going to say tObject, so no dash. So it's internal to touchObject. And let's just see if this compiles. So all we did was we declared it and we built the result down below. And we say, does this still work? I mean, is a valid concept here? So 5 and 5, and it does compile and it seems to work, and then the functionality should have changed, and so none of the functionality is changing, and so we've declared a prototype on top, we've thrown this on the bottom, we can't have it return a true, and so let's just, where our code is, let's just take this right here, this if statement. Well, what happens if we put this if statement in here? If, and we're going to change this to teeter, right? Because teeter's coming in. So we know what's being passed in. If teeter is 6, and x and y are global, and we're looking for a t object, not a 4, we're looking for a t object, right? So we're just going to see if we can modify 1 and see how that would affect our code. We're doing a very small, we start out small and we get big. Now, we don't care about how we're going to react to it. So we're not going to get the can. Not all of this stuff is gone. If our direction is 6 and we're touching t object, we can see a t object. So I'm going to put t object. So we don't care if we're looking for a hay bale now or a trash can, right? We're just saying t object, right? And if that's true, if we find that to be there, with that case right there, we're going to return true. Else we're going to return false. Okay? And so now it'll return true or false. And so there's our code, a really, really simple change. But now we're going to go up here and we're going to just say touch object. It's a Boolean. And we're going to pass those in. And watch what we're going to do with this Boolean. Since this returns a Boolean, we're going to be able to say right here on our gas can, where's our gas can? We're going to be able to say right here, and if we refine all these rules, I'm going to get rid of all of this here, right, over to here, and I'm going to say, this is why we have Control C. So there's our if statement, right? Control Z, Control V. If touch object, touch, T-O-U-C-H, and we're going to pass in direction. And we're going to pass in 4. All right, we're looking for a touch object. Obviously, I didn't spell that correct. So we're going to do touch, T-O-U-C-H, object. If touch object, given direction and 4, then we're going to get the gas can. Why is that? If touch object. Because it's returning a Boolean, so that should work with an if statement, because that should be returning true or false. No. Okay. Touch object dir, 4. So we're passing direction, and we're looking for 4. And if our result, if we get that, we will do the CL applause, but if touch object was true, oh, what happened there? Okay, well, there we go. Life class, right? So here's touch object. Touch object, Boolean. Touch object, passing in 2 integers, right? And just in case I can't spell, that's it. And say no. and take me to the error because I don't want to go back up there and find it. Here's the error right here, this red dot, right? And should be exactly the same, right? Touch object. Touch, Touch, object. And we should have direction, okay, so what I've done wrong is our condition has to be in a bracket, right? So that was simply my syntax here. So touch object, direction coming forward, is going to return true if we hit the gas can. All right, so we're going to check for gas. So let's see what happens. So again, you see how much that code cleaned up right there? This is the beginning of refactoring. So let's see what this looks like. And yes, it wouldn't be a live class unless you got to see Mr. Tim Panic, so it's no big deal. So does it still work? Aha! So the hay bale logic is still eating me alive, and hooray, we're done, right? Okay, so this code is now refactored, and I'm gonna run out of gas, but do you see how that cleaned up? Well, okay. So what happens here? Well, I'm looking for direction 6 here. Check to see if we hit a hay bale. And we're doing direction 6 here. So now I'm going to do this, Control C, if touch object, Control C. Now this is going to get all replaced. Okay. Control V. And that's the dogs. There you go. I'm sure they think there's something outside. And y'all lay down. Oxford, Zuzu, get in here. Hey, homeschool, right? Okay, so we're going to check for a hay bale in direction 6. We had direction 6 code up there. You're like going, so this is going to be x equals x minus 40. So this is if we hit the hay bale. But then we're going to do something a little bit different. Is we're passing in a direction and we're looking for the same hay bale. But look at this code here, direction 4. Let's take this code here and take this, Control C. So now I'm consolidating all these long if statements down here on line 600. So I'm going to come down here and go kablunk, right? There's that if statement. Now we're going to rewrite it. We're going to say if tdir is equal to 4. And we're going to see, we're looking for TObject, right? So we're going to put TObject in here. So we're retrofitting or refactoring this code according to the sensors. Now, when I change a sensor or how I look at something, I only have to go to one place to see if I'm touching that sensor. If I did, in this case, I'm going to say return true. Okay. And end it with a semicolon. So there's a for code right there. I've now retrofitted that. And so let me come up here to where it was before in my spaghetti code. And now I'm going to start doing all the refactoring. Of course, I'm going to remember the line number this time. So all of this becomes if touch object 2, right? So now I know if I'm touching an object 2, I know to play the sound because that's the sound for a hay bale. And then I'm going to say if direction equals 6, I'm going to do this, right? But if direction Control C, right? If direction is 4, then I'm going to do this. And now I can clean this up a little bit better, like this, right? Because I don't have to be all fancy. I can make it else. So then, now look what's happening to my hay bale code. Okay, you see this? We've just eliminated the entire need for this statement, right? And then pretty soon, if direction is 2, and I gotta check all these sensors, guess where this is going? I'm again moving this sensor down into here. You're like going, okay. So I'm going to say if Control V, and then we're going to retrofit it or refactor it if direction is 2. And I'm going to say if tdir is 2, right? And then I'm going to be looking for the T object, right? And we're still looking for a hay bale. So every place where it's 2, I'm going to say, put that in there. Control V, Control V, Control V. And you go like, well, this is a lot of work. Yep, it sure is. But in our code, it's going to do something quite magical, because we're going to say return true. So Control C. So we've already brought the code down here to touchObject, which we've tested in one circumstance. Now we're retrofitting this into hay bales. We've done direction 6, 4, and 2. So if we run into a hay bale going down, or from the right or the left, this logic should work if we have all these T objects in there. But look at what we've done here. By doing this, we've made this code much more prettier. So we're going to copy this else statement here, Control C, Control V, else if direction equals 2, okay? Then what do? Y equals y minus 40. And why should I type, right? Let me just pop it in there, right? If you're refactoring, why put myself at risk of a typo? I mean, but okay, so let's look at what we've done here. We only have to call that sound once, and then we calculate the reaction, and then we get rid of all of this code out of our code. So now we've done the hay bale for direction 6, 4, and 2. But look what we've also done is that we've taken for any direction, specifically 6, 4, and 2, But for any direction now, we've added 3 directions to the gas can. So the same logic of are we approaching a gas can is, so we're filling out. Before we started this, we were only getting the gas can from direction 6. But now I'm getting the direction from these. So I'm refactoring my code, but now this code is getting cleaner. But then if I have to change the way I touch an object from all 8 directions, if I put it all into the refactor touch object, then this code becomes much cleaner, much more reliable, and I only have to modify the touching logic and the sensors in one place. Great theory, let's see if it works, because before we could only touch the gas can from one direction, and we want to make sure the hay bale still works from 3 directions. So let's see if it even compiles. Okay, and this is refactoring. And what we want to do is we want to write all the touch code for all 8 directions into touchObject, but that will make it work for all of our other objects. And if we add more objects, like, oil slicks or anything else like that, or sticks or whatever, bushes, so all of a sudden we were going to get all these 8 if statements every time we added it. So, okay, that still works. So that direction still works. So it can go, good Lord. I ran out of gas. Let's see if I can do this again. I'm going to try again. Okay. Now I don't want to, I want to get underneath it here without hitting the wall. Let's see. So I've done 6, 4. I don't think I can get up. Okay, so I've done 6, 4, and 2. So I could come down on it from on top, right? But I'm going to hit that hay bale. So let's just do something a little bit fun. Let's move the gas can out here and down a little bit. Okay, that's pretty simple to do. We're just testing. So I'm going to go move my gas can down because I just want to be able to say, so we're going to move, let's move this over to 600 and let's make this 800. So that might work. Let's see what happens. So we just moved our gas can. That's how easy it is to move that object, hopefully. Again, we're programming on the fly here. So here's what we're doing. And if this works, you'll get the idea that by simplifying our code, we're actually adding functionality. So here we go. And the gas can never drew. Should have been right there. Okay, great. Nothing but humble pie for the teacher. Okay. So X was now 600. Y is 800, so that was probably off the screen. So let's say 700. I put the gas can off the screen, it looks like. So let's see if this works. This should work a lot better. And because the screen was 800, so there's the gas can. Okay, had it off the screen. Humble pie for the teacher, and oh, so I got the gas can and I hit the brick wall. So kind of a tricky placement, but we have now confirmed that by refactoring our code, we've actually made our gas can code, our gas can logic here, simpler. Okay? We've taken the big hairy if 6 statement here, and now we've simplified it to, did we, in checking for a gas can, Now we can put gas can anywhere, and we can check for, but we're checking for it from 3 directions. So we're gonna take 8, we're gonna move it in there, and then we're gonna go, did we hit the wall? Of course, if we hit the wall, what's really nice if you hit the wall, the exact same logic happens all 5 times. Um, and so hit the wall is going to be 6 and 4 and 2. This code will really clean up really quickly. And 8. The only code that I have written here that actually deals with, I think I had code written for, I have 6 and 8 and 6 and 4 and 2. Oh, I did 2, 3, and 1 all together. So I'll break these out with different sensors and get that to work. But again, we're going to put all of our sensor code in touchobjects. So that's the assignment this week. I wanted to, I know you guys are still wrapping up some bugs in your other stuff, so I wanted to kind of make it a welcome back for spring break assignment here. And we might add something to it if this gets done, but most likely not, because we have enough going on this week after spring break. And so I'm gonna pause the video here, 32 minutes in. You guys have a great day, but that is refactoring objects, and I'll get this published out there. If you guys have any problems, let me know. But I think I might make another video here like tomorrow night or Wednesday night, so you can take a look at it and see um, what my finished code looks like, handling touching objects from all 8 directions, and then it's going to be only a couple lines of code, then to add a new field, add a new object, add a new incentive, add whatever we can have now in objects, and all we have to do is saying if we put the object in the array says you've hit this object, and then we have to, because we can just check touch objects, like saying did our car or our Godzilla or whatever it is going in this direction has these sensors around its forward surface. Did we hit something? So we're moving all that code into touch objects. So I will get this saved out here, and you guys have a great day. Kind of a short class, but we're going to follow up with a part B tomorrow. Okay? So I'll get the notes out there, and I'll get this out there, and you guys have a great day. We'll talk to you later. Bye.